I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's News Update. WTOP Radio reports that Israel's ambassador to the United States, Michael Oren, said last year's alleged plot to assassinate Saudi Ambassador Adel al-Jubeir in Washington, D.C. also included plans to blow up the Israeli embassy in Washington. Oren made the remarks to the D.C. station on Wednesday. Claims against Mansour Ababsiar, who is charged with plotting to assassinate the Saudi ambassador, also states that Ababsiar spoke of attacks on a number of additional targets within the U.S. that are associated with Saudi Arabia and another country. Oren told WTOP that Israel was that other country. Ababsiar, a naturalized U.S. citizen holding both Iranian and U.S. passports, was arrested in September of last year and charged with the assassination plot. According to documents from the Department of Justice, he was allegedly acting as an agent of the Iranian government, working with an Iran-based member of a special operations unit of the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz contends that J Street has increased the chances of a U.S. war with Iran, and that the left-leaning lobby may wind up with, quote, blood on its hands, unquote. In an exclusive interview with Shalom TV President Mark Golub, Dershowitz explains the damage J Street has done to President Obama's efforts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons.
The only way to stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons is if they believe that America means it when it says the military option is not off the table. But J Street is trying to take the military option off the table. And in doing so, they are increasing the chances that there will be war against Iran. J Street will have blood on its hands if it continues this policy of undercutting the Obama administration, when the Obama administration has said in no uncertain terms it will use military action against Iran if Iran develops or is about to develop nuclear weapons. So J Street is neither pro-Israel nor pro-peace, as it claims to be when it comes to Iran. It is pro-war, it is anti-Israel, and it is increasing the chances that there will have to be a military strike on Iran.
Mark Golub's entire interview with Alan Dershowitz, including Dershowitz's defense of Republican mega-donor Sheldon Adelson, can be seen immediately following this Shalom TV update and repeated Friday morning at 1:30 a.m. You can also watch the entire interview by visiting the Shalom TV website at www.shalomtv.com. And speaking of Sheldon Adelson, in our Election 2012 report, Republican vice presidential hopeful and Wisconsin Congressman Paul Ryan met Tuesday with the casino magnate, along with other major Republican donors, at Adelson's Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. According to a New York Times blog, an attendee at the meeting said the get-together was to introduce Ryan to the donors, and the main topics discussed were related to government budgetary issues, and that the topic of Israel was not brought up. The private event comes just days after Governor Romney selected Ryan as his running mate in the upcoming presidential election. Bulgarian authorities have released a computer-generated image of a suspected accomplice of the terrorist who killed 5 Israeli tourists and a Bulgarian bus driver in a bombing a month ago. The Interior Ministry said Thursday that they have information showing that the man is related to the July 18th terror attack in Burgas, Bulgaria. The image of a man with short dark hair is accompanied by a photo from a fake driver's license found on the bomber, in which the man appears to be wearing a wig. The fake license is from Michigan, registered to Ralph William Rico from Grand Rapids. Police initially thought the license belonged to the bomber, but say a facial reconstruction proved that not to be the case. A joint Bulgarian-Israeli investigation is currently underway to identify the suicide bomber and his accomplice, and the images released were accompanied by a request to the general public for any further information that might be helpful to the investigation. And lastly, top officials in Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office plan on testifying before the Israeli Knesset on efforts to release Jonathan Pollard. Netanyahu's senior advisor Ron Dermer and Cabinet Secretary Tzvi Hauser said they will brief the Knesset State Control Committee soon. This will mark the first official testimony from senior officials in Netanyahu's office presented to the Knesset on why attempts to persuade President Obama to free Pollard have failed. Dermer and Hauser agreed to come address the committee after Committee Chairman Uri Ariel of the National Union Party threatened to use an injunction to require them to do so. Earlier this month, Ariel criticized the officials for failing to account for Israel's efforts to release Pollard and for avoiding committee meetings for 2 months. Ariel said Wednesday, "I hope that they will keep their promise and come as they are required to do. The contempt that they showed the committee on such an important national interest will not be tolerated." Jonathan Pollard was convicted of spying for Israel in 1986 and is serving a life sentence. And that's Shalom TV's news update. I'm Teisha Bader.